One morning, 5 years ago, I went to my corner supermarket to get grits for breakfast. They were supposed to open at 7 a.m., but it was now 7:04, and the shutters were still down. I needed to feed my kids and get them off to school within the next 45 minutes. I glanced at my phone. The woman next to me cursed. Finally, the manager came running from the nearby bus stop. He apologized, unlocked the metal shutters, and let us in. "Good morning," he said, cheerily. We grumbled a return greeting, and I marched determinedly towards the aisle with the grits. When I got to their usual shelf, I was instead met by a display of Korean noodles. I kissed my teeth, annoyed. I hustled over to the next aisle, aware that if I didn't find the grits soon, my whole morning would unravel. Where is that manager? I wondered, as I rushed past the spice racks, cheese displays, tacos, ice cream, and beer. Still no grits. It was then that the manager appeared. "Good morning," he said again, in the same upbeat voice. "How are you doing this morning?" "Hi, how are you?" I replied, perhaps a little too brusquely. "I'm having trouble finding the Bob's Red Mill grits. You guys moved them." My tone was accusatory. "Ah, yes," said the manager. "Follow me." He walked me over a few aisles. "We put all the Bob's Red Mill together," he said, handing me his grits, clearly pleased with this decision. I said thank you and headed to the registers when he said, "But you never answered my question." "What question?" I asked, confused. "Ah," he said, "you never told me how you're doing. So I ask you again. How are you doing this morning?" I wanted to tell him that I had no time for banter. Instead, I simply said, "I'm fine." "No," he said, still smiling. "I ask you again. How are you?" Now, I was just as irritated at this manager as I was at the Korean noodles. "I'm fine, but I really need to go." He shook his head and leaned in a little. "You're not fine. You are fantastico." "Here, I check you out," he said, putting down his price tag machine on top of a cardboard box. I paid for my grits, and as he handed me my receipt, he said, "You have a good day, and remember, you are here this morning, and so you are fantastico." His response caught me off guard. I paused, but was too caught up with my immediate problem of hurrying back home. But our game began that day. Each time I went into that supermarket, we repeated our lines. Sometimes I forgot mine and said, "I'm fine," and then we'd have to repeat the whole sequence until I remembered the right answer, fantastico. Over the years, I've learned a bit about him. He's from Ecuador. He likes his job. He has a family. He's listened patiently to my woes about losing my wallet, breaking my toe, and getting walking pneumonia, and has acknowledged these mishaps with, "Ah, yes, but you're fantastico, no?" The game took on a whole new meaning during the pandemic. Behind masks and 6 feet apart, we were both here, and so we would say, "I am fantastico." Earlier this year, I moved. Now there's another supermarket around the corner, and this new store is bright and well lit, and the grits are in a logical place. Sometimes, though, I make a point to stop in at my old supermarket, just so I can remind myself that I am here, so I am indeed fantastico.